everyone, welcome to the soothing yin style yoga practice. I'm Sarah, and today I'll be guiding you through a series of poses to passively work deep into our muscles and fascia, which will help to increase our circulation in our joints and improve our overall flexibility. If you have a blanket, block and cushion, you might like to grab them because they would come in handy for this class, but don't worry if you don't, because it's not essential. So once you're ready, come join me on the mat and we'll begin. I'm going to start out in tabletop. So take your time making your way there. You can pop your props off to one side for the moment. Maybe if you've sensitive knees at all, you could place your blanket underneath the knees, just for a little bit more padding, just if you like. If you have any discomfort there, it'd be a good idea. So making your way to hands and knees. Take a moment just to make sure that your knees are in line under your hip points. You can walk the body back towards the back of the mat just to make more space as we're going to begin to come down into melting heart pose. So begin by walking the hands out in front of you on the mat. Then begin to very gently melt your forehead, melt the chest down towards the mat. If you feel a little bit of strain on the neck, you could always place the block or the cushion under your head, just for a little bit more support. And keeping your hips stacked over the knees so that you begin to settle into the pose. We're going to hold each pose today from anywhere from 2 to 3 minutes to give ourselves a little bit more space, a little bit more time to really release and sink and melt deep into the poses. And while we're here, we're going to try and keep our awareness on our breath. So if it's available to you today, we're going to keep our breath inhaling through the nose and exhaling through the nose. This isn't always available, so if it's not for you today, just breathe however feels natural to you. Maybe you want to get a bit of a lift into the arms. You could always come up high onto the fingertips, just to take the pose a little bit deeper. But keeping your awareness on sinking and melting your heart and your chest down into the mat. And we're taking some time here just to notice what's going on in the mind, down through the body, beginning to become aware if the mind is full of thoughts, full of plans or worries, maybe from the day just gone, and the day or night ahead of us. Just notice where the mind is at, and just know that right now you're exactly where you need to be. This time is for you, so allow yourself to really focus in on where we are now and let go of all that external noise and distractions. And gently and softly make your way out of the pose. Plant the hands if they're not there already. Begin to press into the hands to lift your forehead, lift your chest off the mat. Making our way into Sphinx pose from here. Just begin to send the hips down towards the mat, coming down onto the forearms. Making our way into Sphinx pose very softly and gently. So you want to walk our elbows in line under the shoulders and keeping them shoulder width distance apart. Plant the palms down onto the mat and loop the shoulder blades back as you lengthen through the spine. Open the heart space, open the chest forward. If you feel any discomfort in your lower back, you can always walk the feet a little bit wider. Walk the hands out further away from the body. And once you're in your Sphinx pose, you can gently begin to close the eyes and settle back in. And lengthen through the belly, giving the muscles of the belly a bit of a stretch. And softening through the feet, through the shins. You notice the points of the body, connect with the mat. Into the knees, thighs, into the hips and pelvis area. Whole part of the body should be completely soft. The only part of the body that should be doing any work is the forearms and the shoulders, as they hold us in place and supporting us. Maybe for the last few breaths, you want to begin to drop the head back. So we tilt the chin up towards the sky. We stimulate our thyroid. And then gently bring the head back to center. If it's not there already, allow yourself to slowly melt down into the mat. Bring one hand on top of the other and rest your forehead down onto the hands, making a little pillow out of your hands. Take a moment in stillness to notice the lower back. Noticing the spine, the lumbar spine, as we allow it to settle back into its natural shape. And shake the hips left to right. And come back to stillness. Our next pose, we're going to move into broken wing. We're going to bring our hand into cactus, into a T shape. So we're bending at the elbows. So we'll start out with the right side, but I'll just show you with the left, just to give you an idea what it looks like. So you want your arm bent at the elbow and the palm facing down onto the ground. We're going to begin to roll onto our right hip. So use your left hand, plant it down onto the mat in front of your face as you begin to roll your body up onto your right hip. So now you might feel straight away this is too much for your shoulder and you want to stay here. So you want to stay resting with the forehead on the mat and just work on working deep into the shoulder and opening up. If you can go a little bit deeper, roll up onto the hip and begin to bring, bending at the knee. Bring the left leg behind you so you're planting the left foot down onto the mat. Use your left hand as a guide, as a support here to hold you in place. If this is too intense and too deep in the shoulder, you can always roll back a little bit and just take a bit of weight off. And once you're here, begin to soften and melt in. Gently close the eyes. Gently soften the muscles. These poses are working passively, deep into the connective tissues. So we're not straining or stretching too deeply. We're trying to soften the muscles. By doing so, you can work deeper into the body, working into the fascia, the deep connective tissues that support our joints. You can use the left hand to press a little bit deeper in if you'd like to go even further, even deeper into that right shoulder blade. staying with your breath. Use the breath to hold and support you as you find length on the inhale and you soften and deepen on the exhale. Gently unwind to the pose. Lengthen through the left leg if you had it bent. Roll back onto the belly if you're not already there. And you can just extend the arms down along the body and rest the forehead down towards the mat. And just allowing the arms, the shoulders to hang heavy. Noticing the weight dropping and sinking into the mat. Notice the difference in the right shoulder from the left. When you're ready, we're going to work into the next side, so into our left. So bring your hands back in line with the shoulders. We're going to bring our left arm into that cactus pose. So bending at the elbow, plant the palm down onto the ground. Use your right hand as a guide to maybe roll you over onto that left hip. Bend the right leg and maybe plant it behind you. Again, go to your own limits. You can always try this pose out, see if you can go deeper on this side. Maybe a little bit less. Just depends if you're working in an open body today. Gently nestle in, close the eyes, and soften the muscles. Always know each day will be different. Even during the day, sometimes if you practice yin in the morning or yin in the evening, it can have a completely different effect, different feeling on your body. If you're doing this in the morning, you might notice the body can be really tense and tight as the muscles are still cold, so we haven't quite woken up yet. So you can feel these poses really deeply in the morning. I quite enjoy practicing yin in the morning to get the full benefit out of the class. At the same time, in the evening, it's great for shaking off and releasing any tension and stress from your day so far. So you're really working into those different parts of the body that you normally don't even notice hold that stress and tension. And you're allowing your mind to quiet and to soak up a little bit of time just for you. Gently begin to unwind and unravel out of the pose. Extend the leg long. I'm going to roll back into our belly. And this time just rest down onto one ear. Extend the arms long, down away from the body. Notice how both shoulders feel. Bring your hands either side of the body. We're going to press ourselves up and press our way back into a child's pose. It's coming up onto the knees first. Bring the big toes to touch and bring your knees as comfortably wide as you can. And send the hips back towards the heels. Drop the forehead down towards the mat. I'm going to hold this pose for around 2 minutes. Just allowing the hips to really become heavy. Not too worried if the hips are nowhere at all near the heels. We're just feeling the weight of the hips as they hang heavy towards the ground, allowing gravity to gently guide them towards your heels. Keep your awareness with your breath, with each inhale and each exhale. Imagining on the exhale that the body unravels, it sinks deeper. You can almost feel the muscles, the fascia beginning to unwind, release, and lengthen. And gently come out of the pose into bring your forehead away from the mat. Stretch through the arms. Maybe just come up onto the fingertips just for a moment. Just get a bit of lift into the shoulders. From here, we're going to work our way into saddle pose. So we'll walk the legs a little bit further on the mat. There's a few different variations to this pose, and it all depends on the internal rotation and external rotation of your hip flexors. So I would encourage you to try out a few different variations and see what works for you. You can start out sitting on your heels. If this is comfortable for you, great, you can stay here. If you want to work a little bit deeper, you can begin to bring the feet out towards the side of the body and bring the sitting bones back in between both feet, and maybe keep the knees as close together as you can. Because all of our bodies are different, this might be very uncomfortable for you. You might have your legs quite wide apart. You might find it more comfortable to sit up on your heels, or you could always take your block, place it under the sitting bones and sitting back here. It'll just take some of the weight, some of the heaviness off the ankles, off the heels. So totally depending on where your body is. You can use any of the props. Maybe you want to place the blanket under the knees for a little bit of padding. I'll do that today, just for a little bit more support there. And from here, wherever you are, sitting up nice and tall, we're going to bring our hands back towards the toes. This might feel like enough for you, and if it does, perfect. Stay here, work on opening through the hips. If you want to work deeper, come down onto the forearms. And again, this could be enough. And if it is, beautiful. Stay here, close the eyes. To go deeper, walk the hands back. Begin to drop the body down. Now this, if you feel you can't get in this pose at all and the hips are just too tight, it could just be because of the shape of your body. So don't push yourself. Just go to where you can. If you're down fully flat on the mat, you could maybe bring the arms up and overhead and take hold of opposite elbow. Just to begin to bring a bit of a heart opener into the pose. So we're working on internally rotating the hip flexors and decompressing the lower spine, the lumbar spine. And we're also lengthening the quads. And if you're lying fully flat on the mat, we're getting a nice stretch into the muscles of the belly. It's such a good pose. It works so many different parts of the body, even down to our ankles. So just really see if you can focus on each part of the body. Notice the feet, shins, the thighs, to the hips and the lower back. So you notice your chest, Now up to the arms. Slowing your breath. Keeping your awareness on each inhale and each exhale. So we inhale clean, fresh air. We exhale hot, old, stale air out of the body. Imagining with each inhale, we're soaking up what's to come, what's ahead of us. We're accepting, taking on, and welcoming it into our body. While we're letting go on the exhale of what no longer serves us, what we don't need to hold on to, any negative feelings or thoughts, any stresses through the body. And gently, softly, we'll make our way out of the pose. If you're fully lying down onto the mat, bring your hands back down towards the body. Maybe just take hold of the heels. Just going to begin to press yourselves up onto the forearms. Very gently coming up, and then using your hands to press yourself back up. Brilliant. And you might want to keep the blanket placed under the knees. I'm going to come into butterfly pose from here. I'm just going to bring the blanket back a little bit more. Now bring our feet out in front of us and place the soles of the feet together. So they're nicely touching. We're just allowing the knees to drop heavy. It's coming into butterfly pose from here. Sitting nice and tall, loop the shoulder blades back. Now if you have any sciatica issues or any issues in the hips, you might want to place your blocks or place the blanket underneath, just to the lower part there, just for a little bit more support as we feel the knees are dropping too deeply. Inhale, sit nice and tall, lengthen through the spine. So we're trying to find that length before we go into our forward fold, because once we do, that's when we round, but we want to get the nice length through the lower back. So inhale, find that space in the body. Exhale, begin to hinge forward. So walk the hands to where you feel you can't go anymore. And that's the point. There it is. That's where you go and you begin to round and drop the weight out of the body. You can drop the head heavy and begin to sink everything down. Just allowing gravity to guide the body towards the mat. If you feel any strain at all on the neck, you could always place your block, if you have one handy, onto the feet and just rest the forehead there. Just a bit more support, if you wanted. Wherever you are, just begin to focus back onto your breath. So with each inhale, imagining you're finding more length. You're finding more space into the body. And then with each exhale, you're sinking deeper. So the muscles release and soften on the exhale. And on the inhale, they lengthen and find more space. Use your breath Allow it to increase your flexibility, to guide you deeper into your pose. Noticing how after a few breaths, the body is naturally unwinding and you're sinking deeper. Maybe your forehead is a little bit closer down towards the mat. Maybe your forearms are beginning to drop and sink heavier. The knees, the weight of the knees, are dropping deeper down. Gently and slowly, we're going to begin to unwind. Just begin by pressing into the hands. So lengthen back to the spine, bring the head back to neutral. Very slowly walk the hands back in towards the body. So you want to allow the spine to naturally and slowly stack one vertebrae back up on top of the other. So go back up to sitting nice and tall. From here, we're going to come into deer pose. So keep the feet as they are. We're going to bend into the left leg first. So keep the right leg exactly how it is, bending into the left. So I'm going to bring the leg back. Roughly, you want your ankle resting just below the knee. This pose might look different on everybody, so don't worry too much if this looks completely different on you than it does on me. This pose is great because we're internally rotating one hip flexor and externally rotating the other. But depending on your hips, this could look and feel quite very, very different. So if you feel like you're really far up on the left hip and it's miles away from the ground, you can always place your cushion underneath that hip. It just gives you a little bit more height, a little bit more support. Maybe you want to sit on the cushion for both sides of the hip, just to give you that elevation of the lower back. Sit nice and tall. Now this knee, the left knee, could be really far forward. You mightn't have that internal rotation. If it is, it's fine, stay here. Maybe it's a good bit back. This will be different on everybody, so just go to where you comfortably can. We're going to begin to look over towards the right knee. There's a bit of a twist here, so you're lengthening through the spine as you look towards the right. And then, once you're in the pose, you can just gently begin to drop the weight out of the head. Maybe you can plant both hands down onto the mat. Just going to begin to soften. Sinking the hips down towards the mat. And feeling a nice twist at the belly. And just noticing where you feel this pose. It's a great pose just for finding out the body's alignment. Finding out what's going on in the hips. In the lower back. This pose is very therapeutic. If you suffer from high blood pressure or asthma, it really gives you that sense of grounding. Sense of rooting and connecting with the ground and slowing everything down, giving ourselves a chance and a space to connect with the breath and just breathe. Just be here with your breath, knowing nothing else to do, nowhere else to be right now other than here. Maybe you notice you can begin to twist a little bit deeper and look further over towards the right. Maybe as we hold this pose, we notice the hips sinking even deeper towards the ground. Gently coming out of the pose, bring the head back to center, waking yourself up, bring yourself back into the room. You need to bend back into the left knee, bring the legs back into butterfly, Just take a moment here to notice now how this side feels. Sometimes when we're in these poses, we don't really feel them working too deeply into the body until you come out, and then you can really feel it. Just begin to shake the knees. Just bring a little bit of life back into the hips. And when we're ready, we're going to work into the second side. So keep the left leg exactly how it is. Bend the right knee, bring it back behind you to where you can comfortably go. Notice the hips once again. Notice where you're going to. Use whatever props you need. Use the blocks, the cushion, the blanket. Allow yourself to get comfortable. Maybe you don't need any props at all. Maybe you just want to place the blanket over you and just get yourself nice and warm and really nestle in and heat up the muscles a little bit, get some heat. So begin to look over towards the left knee. Find that length through the spine. Allow the body to really ground into the mat. Drop the gaze, drop the head. Plant the hands. Just finding that twist. Maybe you can twist a little bit deeper. Maybe this side you can go a little bit further. Just notice here. Is the mind beginning to drift? Try and draw it back. This time is for you to completely soak up all the benefits of your class. To work into your body. To notice what feels good for you and what you need. Everything else can wait. Maybe you can begin to twist a little bit deeper, maybe not. Stay with your breath. Soften and ground on the exhale. And lengthen on the inhale. And exhale, unwind. From here, we're going to make our way into our final pose, our resting pose, Shavasana. Use whatever props you want. Maybe you want to place the cushion under your knees. Maybe you want to wrap yourself up in your blanket. Whatever you want to do to get yourself nice and comfortable. And extend the legs long. Bring your body down. Lying flat on your mat. Your palms face up towards the sky. Your shoulder blades nestle under the body. Allowing our body to soak up every pose. Allow everything to connect. As you begin, drop the weight out of the shoulders. Arms are heavy. And the hips connecting and melting deep into the mat. And the legs are heavy. And the feet sink. And this is where I'll leave you today. I encourage you to spend as long as you can in your Shavasana. And thank you for joining me for today's class. I hope you've enjoyed it. I look forward to seeing you again very soon. Namaste.